Hi YouTube, I'm JoshStrifeHayes, and this is going to be a video guide for how to do Valindra's Tower in Neverwinter Online. We have got 4 DPS and a tank. You can take a healer with you, but we're going to try and burn through Valindra's Tower as fast as possible. So private queue, epic dungeon, Valindra's Tower, and let's queue up. Valindra's Tower was the dungeon released with the Dread Ring campaign or Shadow Mantle. This is going to be a really quick guide explaining the basics of how to get through Valindra's Tower as fast as possible. I will release a more in-depth guide later. If you have any questions, you can find me on Twitch under JoshStrifeHayes. Now, as soon as you get into the dungeon, run pretty much straight forward and you'll see this little cinematic. Once the cinematic is over, the first mob is going to run at you. Deal with the first mob as fast as possible. It's nice and simple, straight DPS, there's nothing to worry about here. Once you've dealt with the first mob, run forward, climb the steps and press F on the large glowing red light. This is going to teleport you to the location Fae. Once you're in Fae, you can hop on your mount. Now if you need any potions during this, remember there's actually a shop over there. You don't need to go to the merchant. Come in, turn right and ride through. You'll see enemies rush in straight away. Now I'm going to avoid those for the time being and carry on straight through this door. Running straight through the door, the enemies are going to follow me to these guys as well. I want to get everything into a nice big group so I can use my AoE to hit everything all in one go. It makes killing things much faster and much more efficient. Valindra's Tower is a fantastic dungeon for grouping things up. So many enemies like to stay together in a group, and you can really stack some DPS keeping them all together. They look like elite enemies, but they're honestly not that difficult to kill. They can swarm you because there are a lot of them. If you're a high DPS group, you can actually ride further through the dungeon, group everything together, and group all the AoE in one go. For this guide, we're going to kind of kill things slightly slower just so you can see what we're doing. Once you've taken out the first lot, run into the second. We're going to go up the steps, and there are a couple of guys waiting at the top of the steps for us. A few of the red attacks do have a knockback effect. As you saw just then, I got knocked back. It's not going to do too much damage to you or cause you too many problems. Just keep them together and AoE them down. These guys back here are still dealing with a few of the ads, so I'm just going to run back and help them out slightly. When this dungeon was first released, it was one of the harder ones in the game, but now you can actually run it with 5 DPS if you can run fast enough. You can hop on your mount and carry on. Now remember when we've killed these guys at the top, there's a gate to open over here by using this little lever on the wall, but you can also run back and use this lever. This lever gives you a shortcut to get back to the start. If you die and return to the campfire, you'll spawn here. Instead of having to run all the way back through, you can now simply run up the steps and carry on. There is a chest here. Now as you can see, the icon, the aiming receptacle on my screen has changed to a loot icon. This means this chest is real and not a mimic, so I can loot it successfully. I don't need anything from it, but I'm going to take it. Let's hop back onto our mounts and carry on. Now round the corner here, 2 gelatinous cubes will spawn. You can run straight past them and into the next area, but I like to take them out. Now gelatinous cubes can prove difficult, even for medium to high geared groups. For low geared groups, they'll definitely do some damage to you. Take these guys out as fast as you can. Definitely don't be near them when they do their red AoE attack. That will hit a lot. If I stand there specifically, it would have hit me for quite a lot of damage. Now over here is a chest. You can see the aiming receptacle has not had the little loot icon appear. This means this chest is a mimic. Avoid it. activate this icon on the wall here, you'll be teleporting to the next arena. Now there are 2 conjurers and illusionists. These guys are going to bring ads, but the big problem are the summoning portals. The summoning portals are going to have imps pop out of them constantly. So you want to take care of these summoning portals first. Before you deal with the imps, deal with the summoning portals. They're going to do more damage to you than anything else. Once you've taken down one summoning portal, you'll see a second one spawn right behind it. This summoning portal is a bit more of a problem, because the ads that come out of here are a tad more powerful. But again, AoE everything, stay near it, you should be fine. So in this room, and this is a tough room if you haven't got a high DPS group, you've got some illusionists, some conjurers, and a total of 4 summoning portals. The Legion Devils there are the biggest problem. The Legion Devils can, if left unchecked, really add up and stack up. They can do a lot of damage to you in big groups. You'll see now we've taken out the 2 portals over there, and we're focusing on this one over here. This one's gone down, this one will spawn. Now while this one spawns, I'm going to run past it and run into this room. You'll see in this room there's a conjurer waiting for us and some devils. If you aggro all these guys, you can trap them in the corner in the corridor just here and AoE everything in one go. Makes it much, much easier. Once you've cleared all these guys, there's a chest you can loot if you want to. Apart from that, activate the lever on the wall and carry on through. You'll see 2 evokers waiting for us, but the big problem comes from these dreadhounds. The dreadhounds will all jump on you, so stay out the way of the red and keep them as a group. It's much easier to DPS them as one big group. You don't need to focus on these guys, you can actually run straight past them. But as we're all here as a party, we're going to stay back and kill them. Once you've taken care of the 2 wizards and the dreadhounds, you'll see another group of dreadhounds, surrounded by some larger elite warriors as well. It's much easier to kill everything if you keep them as part of a group, because AoE damage is infinitely more useful than single target damage. Once these guys are all cleared, run through. You'll see a load of imps spawn on the steps behind. Thankfully, as I said, AoE damage takes care of them quickly. Once this conjurer's down, loads of ads will spawn. 2 iron golems and a few more smaller ads. The iron golems can hit quite hard if you're not expecting it, but keep them together as a group and you shouldn't really have a problem with what you need to do. Once they're all cleared and done, carry on up the steps and activate the switch to travel through the magical gate. Now this room, you've got a couple of much more powerful mobs. These mirror images are actually created by some of the illusionists. They're not going to hurt you much, but kill them quickly. Once this illusionist is done and dealt with, more of them will spawn in the room. You see these guys all pop up over here. The big problem is this guy. You want to kill this guy in the corner first. As soon as he goes down, the whole room gets much, much easier. Now once you've killed him, there is a lever on the wall behind him. Activate the lever and you can carry on. There is sometimes a glitch where that guy gets caught in an invisible wall. He gets caught right on the edge of it, so you can't harm him. If that happens, have your entire party retreat and wait for him to follow you. You'll see here that I went through an invisible wall. Back in the area over here, looks like a wall, ride straight toward it, you can carry on through. Thay is a place of illusionists, so illusions rule supreme over here. More illusions again. Once we've cleared out this mob, look to the left and you'll see what looks like a regular rock. We're going to run straight through it. You'll see where the first boss, Shatter Spine, is. We run straight toward the illusionary rock, carry on through it, and activate the lever on the wall. Now Shatter Spine himself is not difficult, but he will spawn a lot of ads. I'm going to run forward to get the aggro and do everything. You don't massively need a tank or a healer for this, but it does help. Keep everything together and do massive AoE damage. Shatter Spine can hit hard on one player if you stand in front of him, so try not to stand in front. You'll see these guys, the Dread Protectors, have already spawned. The longer you take to do this fight, the more ads you're going to have to deal with. More have spawned over here and more over here. This is loads of ads for one fight. Thankfully, this works to my playstyle perfectly, because I hit everything in one go by standing in the middle. So the ads for us aren't an issue. If you've got lots of people in your party focused on a single target, this could be quite challenging. Once you've taken down Shatter Spine, run over here and pick up anything that he drops. Sometimes you'll get seals. Hop back on your mount, run to the side. You'll see the lever over here. Activate that, run through. You've got some Dreadhounds that you can take out, or you can run up these steps and group them all together. We're going to take these out one at a time, carrying on, little groups by little groups. If you are running with a very high DPS group, you can simply run all the way through this area, all the way through to this big iron golem at the back, group everything together, and then AoE everything. I'm thankfully able to do that because my party are going to make that possible. I'm running with some great people who are going to help me. If you don't have the DPS to do that, don't worry about it too much. That's just a way of making the dungeon slightly quicker. Go through this slowly. It's better to get there eventually than die all the time. And once we've dealt with all these, we'll be at the boss. We've cleared all the ads, we've ran through Valindra's tower, we can now take on Valindra. Now there are lots of mechanics to think about when you take on Valindra. And with a low DPS group, you need to do this in a slightly different way to a high DPS group. I'm running with a mid to very high DPS group. So I'm going to go through and explain this as if you have high DPS. Run forward, you're going to activate this column on the right. You can see Valindra herself standing in that circular area. Now when we are in this fight, the longer you take, the harder it gets. She can hit hard. Run straight forward and DPS her as fast as possible. For this first part of the fight, she's simply going to float around the arena a bit, throw some very powerful attacks at you, and occasionally pick people up and throw them away. You'll know when that's happened because you'll be lifted into the air, choked, and then thrown in a random direction. When we get her health down to a certain level, which is not too far, she'll return to the middle of the arena and energy will sprout from her like that. When that happens, run to the edge. Two things we now need to deal with: the ghosts flying around and the red strips of damage. The ghosts are going to follow you and do damage if they get near you. Now, as a party, we want to make sure the ghosts are under control, so everyone in the party is going to run in the same direction. It doesn't matter whether it's clockwise or counterclockwise, as long as everyone tries to go in the same direction. This keeps the ghost under control. The red strips of damage, just avoid. As soon as they appear, you'll see these energy hands push across. Avoid them and dodge out the way. Get hit by one, you might go down. Once that's dealt with, and it doesn't last very long, return to DPSing her. You'll see Valindra's grabbed me with this huge hand that comes out of the floor. When she grabs me with this Phantom Claw, my team need to attack the Phantom Claw to get it off me. If they don't do that, I'll take constant damage and I won't be able to do anything. Apart from the Phantom Claw, there's not really much to worry about. If you take too long to DPS Valindra, eventually she might spawn some caskets. These caskets have very, very high-powered ads in them. If the caskets spawn, you can run up to them and press the F key to break the caskets. Hopefully, you'll never experience the caskets because she'll burn her down before she ever gets a chance to spawn them. You'll notice how she picked me up just then and threw me. And Scrysis has also gone down from having the Phantom Hand grab him. Once you've done enough DPS to Valindra, she'll do the same thing. There are the caskets around the edge. See all these soul caskets? They're powerful. I could, if I want, run to them and try and get rid of them, but it's actually going to be more efficient to DPS Valindra. The reason for that is when you get her to the second stage, she does the electric attack again, and all of the caskets break. So if the caskets appear, you have to ask yourself, what's easier? Breaking all the caskets, or just DPSing Valindra some more? We chose DPS Valindra some more. This second circle attack, the second arena-wide circle attack, lasts a lot longer. So get used to dodging those ghosts a lot more. We're going to keep running as a group all the way around, keeping those ghosts controlled all the time. If I were to run into that group of ghosts, I would take a heavy amount of damage and likely die. You can see now that the attacks are still going on. I'll show you what happens if I do run too close to a ghost, if I can. Yep, I start to take a load of damage, and it saps some of my action points as well. If there's going to be a time your party wipes, it's going to be this time. Now, as soon as Valindra returns to the middle, she's only got a little bit of health left. The problem is now she's going to spawn loads of those soul caskets around the edge. There's no way that we can get rid of all the soul caskets, so the most efficient thing to do at this point is just throw as much damage on her as you possibly can. See all these soul caskets spawning? As soon as they pop open, there's going to be a lot of ads to deal with. There's no point looking at them. Just DPS Valindra as fast as you can. And as soon as she dies, the soul caskets will all die as well. Once you've gotten rid of her, you can run forward toward the pile of ash and search it, seeing if she's dropped anything. Unfortunately, this time she hasn't. Now running forward, you'll see two chests. The first one that we use an epic dungeon chest key for. Nothing good, but I'm going to choose one of the coats and salvage it later. And then over here, you've got Valindra's tower key needed. To get Valindra's tower key, open your quest journal, go to your Sword Coast Chronicles, and open the Dread Ring campaign. You can make Valindra's tower key down in the bottom right here. You'll need 3 gold pieces, 15 Vanguard scripts, and 5 Thayan scrolls. I don't have those right now, but you can make those as you play through the Dread Legion or the Dread Ring campaign. So thank you very, very much for joining us. Go and do Valindra's tower. Good luck, everyone.